Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Golden Gloves Chat Show. With me, my very special guest, Garreth McLellan, known by many as Soldier Boy. You're the famous Soldier Boy. You did a great job of marketing yourself. Not just marketing yourself, I mean, you were a brilliant fighter as well. Before you start talking, because I've got a lot of things I want to talk to you about, Soldier Boy, Garreth. Amateur record 10-0 MMA. I mean, I'm just going to talk about a bit that I've seen. 2 times UFC Africa middleweight champion. The first South African ever to compete in UFC in 2014. You have a black belt in karate, you're a national champion in karate, a black belt in jiu-jitsu. You excelled at rugby for the Crusaders, the Natal Sharks wanted to sign you up. You're a motivational speaker generally in life. I mean, that track record is absolutely amazing. It speaks for itself. Before we talk about everything else, the obvious question, which I think a lot of people want to know, how did you get called Soldier Boy? What is the reason behind that?
Yeah, I think it's a question that gets asked quite a lot. It's quite a funny story in that back in the day when I first started doing MMA, I trained with some greats like Martin van Staden and Donovan Hawkey and a couple of other guys in that mix, and that was under Kevin Thomas in Durban. And it was back then when the WWE was this massive craze, and they all had these middle names and stage names, and you know, guys were kind of trying to pick that and what would I want to be and what best suited me. And I've always admired the military. I thought it was an exceptional place. I thought it made boys into men. It taught you a lot of life lessons that you can't really learn anywhere else. And I wanted to kind of depict that in my fighting career, and I wanted to use that as something, and something to do with being a soldier. And then there was a joke that was flying around, soldier boy, soldier girl, and was getting a bit teased. And you know, I kind of liked the name Soldier Boy, and I took it and I used it and embraced it, and yeah, it just turned out to be the most one of the most incredible decisions that I had made in my career, and it's something that I carry very proudly.
Fantastic. Well, I think everybody in South Africa knows who Soldier Boy is. I think they knew who the Road Warrior was as well. So between the two of us, we've got our great nicknames. Just briefly, we've got a lot to talk about. MMA, EFC, UFC. Just to the layman out there, what is the difference?
So MMA is mixed martial arts. Obviously, it comprises of a whole lot of different types of martial arts, and which gets combined, and it gives you mixed martial arts. If you look at the type of styles that we're trained, boxing's one of them. There's judo, there's jiu-jitsu, there's wrestling, there's Roman Greek wrestling, there's sambo, the list goes on. It was a sport that was created by a group of Americans that sat down and said, well, the age-old question of what is the best martial art? If you took a karate guy against a wrestler, or a boxer against a judo guy, who would be the best fighter? They made this combat series, the UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championships, and that's where MMA was born. And over the years, it's kind of molded itself into its own form of martial arts now. And I'm pretty much sure that most of the viewers will know what UFC is. UFC is the largest franchise or organization, pretty much like the WBO, WBA, IBO, IBF organizations. That's where you'll get the two mixtures of EFC. EFC is a local production in South Africa, and then the UFC is probably the biggest organization in the world and where the best fighters in the world compete.
Fantastic. Okay, well, let me ask you a question about the sport. For you, which was the toughest sport? I mean, obviously, I know you've learned to box. We'll talk about your boxing as well, because you need good boxing for stand-up. The grappling looks very hard to me. I've never grappled in my life. Which is the tough part? Kicking, grappling, boxing?
So I think everything poses its own threat and its own difficulties. But if I had to pick one out of them and say, okay, this is probably going to be the hardest thing that you would have to learn out of them, it's probably the wrestling. It's probably the most physical and most demanding on you as a person. It becomes very, very tough rounds. From a technical ability, jiu-jitsu is a really, really high-level technical sport. It's technique outweighs strength more than anything. Wrestling, there is a lot of physicality in it and a lot of strength, whereas jiu-jitsu is more a skill thing. But again, boxing is anybody can throw a punch, but when it comes time to put head movement, feet, defense, attack. That becomes very tricky.
And it's not how hard you can hit it, so hard you can
get hit. Yeah, I think so. I think each thing has its own value, and it would be very difficult to pinpoint one. I mean, I spend a lot of time with the South African judo team, and for me, I mean, that was some really, really difficult training, and it was small, integral things that made the difference. I suppose that it's that in any combat sport, it's not the holistic thing. It's the small points that really change the game and make you better than what you should be.
Awesome, Garrett. I think that's a great answer that will help the viewers out there to understand a bit more about your industry. Let's talk Boyd Allen. Boyd Allen has got a big fight on the 10th of October at Empress Palace in a rematch with Brandon Thysse. Last time it was a close fight. This time they're fighting on the battle tournament for, as I said, Golden Gloves, Empress Palace, and it's the Ford War final, and it's for a big gold ring as well. You know Boyd Allen as well. He's 6-0 now as a professional boxer. He did the switch from mixed martial arts to boxing. Tell us what you know about Boyd Allen.
So I've known Boyd for 10 years. I've known him since he was a young kid of probably 19 when he came into the Fight Veteran Militia Gym. Very quiet guy, very unassuming, incredibly humble. One of probably the most respectful guys I've come across in combat sports. Extremely dedicated to what he does. Unbelievably hardworking, and just all around, he's just a good guy, and I think that's what attracts a lot of people to him. He was always the guy that had to work hard on the ground aspects of it, the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu side. He was phenomenally talented at it, but once he stood on his feet, he became a completely different person, and I think that gave him the strength that he had in MMA. It was what separated him from everybody else, was his ability to put together incredible combinations, control the distance, and then obviously create the damage when he needed to. With a 4-ounce glove, it's very different to a boxing glove, and you don't need as many punches to put your opponent away.
You're saying he's a world champion as well?
He was a double world champion. I think he was a featherweight and a lightweight champion, if I stand to be corrected, in MMA. And now he's going across into the boxing world, and he's done unbelievable. I think he's really gripped the opportunity, and he's showing guys what he's capable of. And for me, to be able to cross over into another martial art or another combat sport and then be as successful is truly a remarkable thing, and he's really writing his name as one of the greatest combat sportsmen in South Africa and potentially in the world.
Wow, that's a great compliment for Boyd Allen. Fantastic. And what I find he's doing as well is with the crossover, there's more people that are watching boxing and more people that are watching mixed martial arts. Because of the crossovers, a lot of guys coming to boxing, some guys going from boxing with the crossover. Guy like Conor McGregor, I mean, everybody knows who Conor McGregor is, like they know who Soldier Boy is. What do you think about Conor McGregor?
So I think Conor was the guy that made that all possible. I think he was the guy that showed people, an MMA fighter with incredible skill on the feet has the ability to cross over into boxing. And he created those opportunities whereby boxing promoters, I think, in the beginning it was very we MMA based, this is boxing, you can't come here, you can't come there, and it was very like an exclusive club. But Conor went in, he changed that mindset, he opened it up to being able for an MMA fighter to say, hang on, I can box. I think crowds love it. I think combat sports has changed so much in that people want to see these stylistic challenges. They want to see MMA fighters go into boxing and how do they perform. They want to see a great boxer go into MMA and see, how would he compete against that? And it asks an intriguing question of, are we capable of making the changeover? Which made it, I think, a little bit easier for Boyd at that time. And again, he's shown in his results. He didn't go in and battle. He's gone in, he's won fights. He's put himself in a position where he can fight for titles now. He's created a stir. And I think Boyd has the potential. He's still a young guy. He still has a lot of years on him to be able to become a world-class boxer, and not only locally, but go on to the international stage and make a very big name for himself.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. When I see the fight now with Boyd and Brandon Thysse, it was a close fight the last time. Boyd is a fantastic scientific boxer. He's on his toes. He switches from southpaw to orthodox all the time. Moves very well. So you're going to have the clinical boxer with Boyd Allen, and you're going to have the come forward fighter in Brandon Thysse. So it's a good fight. It's a tough fight, and it can go anyway. Really, it's a 50-50 fight at this stage. Whoever wants it the most will win it. But as you said, Boyd Allen, you've worked with him for many years. You were telling me off camera. How many years did you work with Boyd Allen, grappling and training?
Yeah. Boyd and I we've done a fair amount of rounds together. I've been training with Boyd for a very long time, like I said, since he was probably 19 years old when he first started MMA. The thing about Boyd is a guy that he never stays stagnant. He's not a guy who will be the same as what you saw the last fight. He'll always improve. He has that ability. He's with the Smiths now, and we know what a great boxing gym they are. They're producing high-level boxers. Kevin Lerena. There's another chap that I know they got. They're a very educated boxing gym. They are a very well-structured boxing gym, and they are definitely the guys in the front at the moment in terms of producing international boxing standard. I think they see that quality in Boyd as well, and they would have definitely made him a lot better than he was the last time. So the fight will be very different. Boyd is the type of guy that he figures you out. He's fought his opponent now, and he knows what he's about. He knows what the things that he does, and he's definitely going to be prepared for that. I think you're going to see a very different boxer. I know that he's been working incredibly hard over the lockdown period to improve himself, and I'm excited for him. I think he's going to show definitely, I would say, a 10 to 15% better or probably more skilled guy than what you saw before.
Give us a winner. I'm assuming you're going Boyd Allen for the 10th of October, the Golden Glove show.
Look, he's a close friend, and he's close to my heart, and I definitely have got him for the win, and I'll be shouting for him 100% along the way.
Fantastic. Well, there you heard it from Garreth McLellan, Soldier Boy, who's predicting Boyd Allen should win the fight in the Forward War and the Forward Battle on the 10th of October, Empress Palace on the Golden Glove show. Soldier Boy, finally, do we see you in action again in the octagon?
Oh, look, it's a question that's being thrown at me quite a lot lately. My heart tells me that I 100% would like to be there again, but the mind is telling me that it's time to take a step back and let the youngsters do the job. So who knows? Maybe next year there's a surprise showing. Maybe not.
So you could be officially retiring on our Golden Gloves website.
Could be. Look, I haven't put any pressure on myself. I'm still of the age that I can compete if I want to. But I've stepped over into the business world, and I'm running our family business, and that is it's a massive task in front of me, and it takes up a lot of my time. And really, I haven't had a lot of time to be in the gym. So I'll kind of see how this year plays out, and if next year we can do it, yes. But more than likely, if we haven't competed by next year, it'll be the end of the road for me.
Thank you for being a fantastic guest. I think we're allowed to shake hands now in this country. And I'll see you on the golf course, of course. Our great guest, Soldier Boy, Garreth McLellan. From me, Brian Mitchell. We'll speak to you soon.